have any other discussions?
So at this point, if there's, oh, Amin, did you have your hand up?
Motion?
Oh yeah, that's what I was about to call for.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, motion to charter the chemistry club as an actual organization.
Second.
Alright, so it's at this point, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of chartering the chemistry club, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? Alright, so the motion passes and the chemistry club will be a chartered organization.
Remember to submit your budget.
Yeah.
It's due February 27th.
Yeah, I'll
Can
get
you
on that.
maybe give Greg your contact info?
Yeah.
And Greg, can you resend her all of the information?
Absolutely.
Alright,
You
that'd
can
be
meet
great.
after the meeting.
Alright.
And then-
Alright, so moving on, our next order of business will be the cluster of RHA bylaws, and that will be Alyssa.
We'll start with the resolution. Is that big enough, guys? Yes? Okay. So Lucas helped me create this, but he is now the chair of the meeting, so I will be presenting this. Whereas RHA is a vital position on HUSC, whereas RHA's role in HUSC is unclear, whereas the bylaws do not specify RHA's responsibilities, whereas RHA should have the same responsibilities of all other representatives, whereas RHA should be a member of the SAC committee, whereas RHA should be a member of BER. Therefore, be it resolved, RHA will be responsible for attending GA, SAC, and BER. So a little background information before we get into the bylaws. Rachel and I had several meetings with many different people about what RHA's responsibility is. In the bylaws, it doesn't specifically say what they're responsible for, so there's a lot of confusion. And what we're doing is we're setting something concrete and in stone for future years, so there's no question anymore. It's outlined straight in the bylaws what they're responsible for. Their position is very similar to the SAC position, so basically we just kind of form them kind of similarly. What's going to happen this year, though, unfortunately, RHA will not be filling a representative position, but we want it still concrete in the bylaws because we think in future generations, future years, people will want this position, or it might be needed, or RHA feels that they can do something with the position, something like that. So we want it, the opportunity outlined for them. If they do not fulfill the position this year, what will happen is if they miss the 4 absences, they'll just be like any other position, they're kicked off or whatever. So basically this year it'll be open, but then it'll be, people can have it for the following years. So, that being said, we'll start with, we have 3 of them. So this one is kind of, it's under the SAC committee, and it's kind of confusing. So what I did is, it says fill 2 at-large positions, I'm here. So fill 2 at-large positions, 1 advocacy group representative, 1 multicultural representative, 4 residence hall positions, 1 RHA position, and 1 SAC position, or SAC position. It says these positions will be filled during the spring semester and to begin serving in the fall. Not all of them are filled during the spring semester, so I said these positions are to begin serving the following fall. Then down here, the 2 at-large positions will be elected during the spring caucus. The SAC delegate will be elected by SAC and not in the caucus. The RHA delegate will be selected by RHA and not in the caucus. The multicultural representative will be elected by MA and not in the caucus. The advocacy representative will be elected through a meeting held by the SAC chairs of all of the advocacy groups. The 4 residence hall positions will be elected during the proceedings held by RHA in the fall. Okay, in the back of our, towards the end, it has RHA and SAC and what their purpose is, all of that. We don't need it because we don't have all chartered orgs in there. This was basically two chartered orgs were in the back of our bylaws and what their purpose was. It's not necessary, it doesn't do anything for us. We're just deleting it, doesn't change anything, it just, we don't need it.
Just background information, kind of what this is an artifact of a time when these groups were almost sort of vassalized and dominated by Husk. And so these two chapters basically say that Husk will be able to override the authority of the organizations, and since that's not the case, or not what we want, we're getting rid of those.
Yeah, before it said like, the student congress may however overrule any action of RHA if it deems it necessary. No, so we're just deleted it. One more. So SAC representative shall report regularly to the student congress on the activities of SAC. The SAC representative shall be responsible for attending GA, BER, and SOC. RHA representative shall report regularly to the student congress on the activities of RHA. The RHA representative shall be responsible for attending GA, BER, and SOC. Outlining it, clarifying it, making it obvious.
Do you have a question, Amin?
No, no question.
Yeah, just a reminder to everyone, these all, per our procedure, have to be tabled until next week
Right.
before being voted on. So we'll send them out to everyone so you have a chance to read over.
And also, RHA, we've been working closely with them, and they totally support this. They're on board with it. They like the idea of it being open for future years, to being able to have a position. So, we've been working together.
Okay. So, like I said, we'll move on to discussion next week. If you guys want, if you want to say anything about it now, you can. Otherwise,
Okay, I mean, either way. I was just gonna say that, yes, we've been working together. It didn't work out this year, but it's really a great idea that we would like to work with you guys in the future if possible. And there's, I think it's great that we would do this.
all right. With that said, all right. So there's a motion to refer the bylaw amendments to the PAC committee. We will need a second for that.
Second.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of referring this to PAC committee, please raise your hand. All those opposed? All right, the motion passes. Okay, and we have one more thing on our agenda for business today, and that would be an appointment to ITSAC. It's kind of in an awkward situation now because, do you want to come down and meet? Because I'm the person doing this, but I'm also the chair of the meeting, but we're just going to make it work. Alex is no longer able to be at all of the Information Technology Services Advisory Committee meetings, so, or at least not for the full amount of time. So we need to have another representative there to make sure we have someone at all times. And so I would like to appoint Amin as our other representative to the committee. So I guess if anyone has any questions about the committee or about Amin, I'm sure that both he and Alex would be willing to answer those at this point.
Just a comment.
Go ahead.
He has been, I mean, I think he's great, and just talking on his behalf, he's always on time in my committee, and he's always willing to meet, and he has a perfect sheet on my attendance, and it's like the only one. So I think it would be a great asset for a great representation of Husk and ITSAC.
Does anyone else have comment or question?
What's your favorite sport?
Tennis.
Okay.
Okay, so then I'm basically putting him before you guys, so if I have appointed him, he needs to be confirmed, so if anyone has I think this requires a 2/3 vote of the assembly, so.
I motion to approve Amin to the ITSAC committee.
Second.
Alright, is there any further discussion? Alright, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of Amin being our representative to ITSAC, please raise your hand.
get 2 votes.
All those opposed? All right, Amin is confirmed. Congratulations. All right, so moving on then, we don't have any topics for today's discussion, so if anyone has anything they'd like to raise that's not an announcement at this time, we have some time to discuss since it's not even noon yet. Probably get out a little early. Go ahead, Evelyn.
We talked about this in our BER meeting, but I just wanted to point out that the book rental program, I think, is a lot less efficient this semester than it was last semester. So since we did approve it, I was just wondering if there's anything we could do to help them, or to make sure that they're more organized, because I'm still missing my books for 2 classes, and I ordered them 2 months ago.
I think one thing we could do is to have Amin and Steven, our representatives to the bookstore committee, to raise that issue at the next. Do you guys have a meeting soon, Amin?
No, but I can ask for one. And I know
Well, even if it's not a meeting, if you guys just
we can
sort
talk
of
to
let
them.
the appropriate people know that this was happening and that it was a concern people had, that's probably the most we can do at this point, or the best way of going about that. But that's good to make sure that we are, holding it accountable. Alex?
I mean, I think it's a good idea to bring that up at the meeting, but I feel like in terms of the entire student body, we should probably get an idea of how many students don't have their books yet. I don't know if there's some sort of survey we could do, or sort of poll, but I think it would be good to get an idea of who doesn't have their books yet.
Go ahead, Alyssa.
The bookstore has a pretty good idea of who doesn't have their books yet. I was obviously not in the program, but I was just there selling back my J-term books and had a conversation with someone. And there are a lot of students that don't have their books. There were competitions, but they do have a pretty good idea of who doesn't have their books yet. So we don't necessarily have to do a survey. It would just be inquiring of that.
Wendy, go ahead.
Oh, it might also be interesting to find out, for example, of the students who don't have their books, how many of those are because faculty didn't turn in their